Here it is, part two. Part two, we're ascending, gonna go to the mountain because by mistake I pressed the stop button. Part two, Pre Sabbath for the 63 Imperium special. I pressed the stop instead of the flipping the camera sides, you know, so I was about to flip from my face. I was about to flip from my face to just the external, because I guess you had enough of my face. But I was just finishing, when I finished packing that food, that you can see that I packed a little bit of that food with that, and that's what it is with the go, and that's what it is for the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing on the XYZ for the lovers, the butchers, and the bakers, the nurses, the firefighters, the doctors, the plumbers, the electricians, the welders, all those, of course, involved in the production, distribution of food. And that's why we go in there, and that's how we're gonna rock and roll with the XYZ, and we gotta get around here, and here's my home, and in this life and in another life, you know. So that's all we got, and that's what we gotta get doing with the love. And for the bakers, truckers, nurses, and please, tomorrow we're gonna be some peaceful in the 50, because it's the 50 plus the 13, that's 63, 13 plus 50, vice versa. Always for the North American Collective, marching for the bakers, butchers, nurses, plumbers, those in the daycares who change some diapers. And as I was just discussing now, that when I go, you know, you see my past videos that I have that fridge in my community. So I have that fridge there, and I was just there, and I was cleaning at the corner some food. So it's basically, as I was cleaning that food, of course the police officers came, you know. The police officers came, and of course they asked some questions, and I said, of course, what am I doing? I, of course, said what I was doing, and I was discussing, of course, what I was doing. Basically, I told them that I just got some food and some donations, and of course that I was cleaning, and that's how I gotta get doing with that, and that's how we're gonna get doing on the go, you know. So it's something which we gotta get on the gratitude, you know, because receiving some food, I gotta give, I gotta receive. And in my first part, because this is second part, you know, we gotta get that second part, and this is that second part. The first part I gave some charity, and I received, so I guess I got what I got some food, so that kind of balance is equal to scale. And I don't make pretense that I'm, of course, totally selfless, totally altruistic, because I'm not. I love my wafers, you know, stuff like that, and I love my chocolate, I love sweets, I love a good wine, I love a little bit of, I get lustful, you know. I'm just like I told to the police, I'm 50-50, you know, androgynous pansexual. We had a brief discussion, and you know, that's it, or a friendly discussion, and I wasn't able to get into my new 911 on the go, and that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, you know. I wasn't, of course, able to discuss the new 911 protocols. Whoops. I wasn't. See my clumsiness due to Asperger's. That's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get going. But I was gonna discuss the new 911 protocols, because I've written them post 2017, and I always revert back to that 2017, of course, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, and that event made me come out of being depressed and suicidal. 2017, before that, I was depressed, suicidal, and crossing Canada coast to coast, you know. Made me come out of being depressed and suicidal, and that's what it is with that, and that's crossing Canada coast to coast, you know. Just gonna get a little bit of, like, we're gonna go up and down a bit. Just gonna go up and down like that, just to make a little bit of, oops, sorry. Gotta get a little bit of doggy. Anyways, didn't really need to apologize. It's just because the dog came, and I have work boots, military grade boots, but pulled it on the leash because the dog came close, and I kind of backed away a bit, because I don't mind dogs, but certain breeds I can't pet much, except for poodles, and I gotta be watching it when we're in the public, you know. I had the responsibilities, duties, and obligations myself, and that's how we gotta go doing with that, and so we gotta get on that love, man, you know. Here, my whole family here, and the North American Collective, and of course when I cross Canada coast to coast, that's when I establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, North Americans, you know, because before 2017 I was depressed, I was suicidal, and just crossing Canada coast to coast made me come out of being depressed and being suicidal. Enough of my face. Enough of my face. Time to admire the beautiful architecture around Montreal, Huck Island, metropolis, 2.5 million people. And I urge your church, call, you know, the police involved, the military, the Marines and the National Guard deployed. First thing, General Rainbow Dragon, General Zero, General Dragon Zero, General Greatest Cuckold in the universe. Please, please, please. Sportsmanship with the interaction with our fellow brothers and sisters, civilian citizens, our fellow brothers and sisters, civilian citizens, our fellow brothers and sisters, civilian citizens. And I'm just gonna take it by here because I kind of want to take a little bit of zigzag, and before we go in the wilderness, we're gonna smell a little bit of the concrete jungle, civilization of the concrete, and it's a pre-Sabbath or deal. Pre-Sabbath deal. And look at the beautiful buildings. I always admire the workers who build all the skyscrapers, all the cities, highways, bridges across the 63, the 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. I always got to get a little bit of that admiration for them, and always got to sing a little bit of that XYZ. And my brothers and sisters in the police, tomorrow's going to be some big days, big manifestation protests. And you know, I'm no Trump supporter. That's what it is with that. And no Trump supporter with that, and so you gotta get doing, man. So I love to see a little bit that, and that's what I gotta go doing with that. And so we gotta get on that rock and roll, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and sometimes we gotta get doing on the XYZ, you know. So that's what it is, man, and that's what we gotta get loving, man. You know, because I'm an Aspie, I'm different, so my difference is of course something which we have to be on the mindful side of things, that we gotta be aware of the dynamics as we go to the mountain. And you know how it is, the cadence, Dragonomy, pledge your allegiance, friends with benefits only, and we can't be bought, we can't be bribed, we can't be bought, we can't be bribed, we can't be bought, we can't be bribed. And that's what it is. And here in the metropolis, Huck Island, Montreal, get a little bit of vibration of life. And across the cities of the 63, tomorrow big day protest, and no kings type of protest. And I said the only king I want to be is of the free, the king of the free, the brave, the loving, king, queen. You get that 50-50. I am androgynous, pansexual. Gotta pay it, priestess of the goddess, G-O-D-D-S-S. Keep my holy sacred name out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing. Get a priestess of the goddess, G-O-D-D-S-S. If it's not for a blessing. And that's how we're gonna get doing with that. And so we're gonna get doing on that appellation, you know, to always get it on to do, and always get it now, and always live in the moment. Since I died of COVID, you know, COVID was hardcore for yours truly. Having COVID was really hardcore, you know, really hardcore. I thought I was gonna die, you know. I was like, wow, what hit me? 2020, February 2020. So I thought I was gonna die. In many ways I did die. Nothing that I will to go back, but I survived COVID, and I survived being depressed and suicidal, you know. So having survived COVID and depression, being depressed and suicidal, and that's what I am here today, joyous, financially stressed but joyous, you know. So it's friends with benefits only, the dream, my work, and my dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom is what I'm all about, and have been, especially since I died, being reborn during COVID, nothing that I will to go back to, but that's how we gotta get drilling on that, and always gotta get a little bit of admiration, you know, for the architectures, and that's what it is with the love side of things, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get doing on the go with that, and get a little bit of that loving, man, you know. Sometimes which we gotta get on that love, and sometimes which we gotta get doing with that, man, you know. Here's some lovers, and some butchers, and some bakers, and somebody making that love, you know. That's what it is with that, and that's what it is, man. We gotta get on that rock and roll for the XYZ, and you know, that's what it is. And that's how we're gonna get on that drill, man, you know. Coming. Going to town. And that's what it is, and that's what we gotta get doing, man. We gotta get on that collective and beautiful red, and that's what it is with that, and that's why we gotta get drilling, man, you know. It's oh, thank you. 3 is good. Life, light, and healing, and no food waste, no food waste. You know, nuclear war might start in a second, you know, any minute. That's why we need to start building. Let's go through here. That's why we need to start building the North American Imperial People's Coliseum and the 44, you know, the 44. And this, when I pass here, I remind myself of the many years, and because what I remember, you know, because I got retrograde amnesia, and I got memory loss, and it gotta be on that go, and that's what I gotta get doing on the love, you know. So gotta get doing for that love side of things, and you know, that's what we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things. And you know, here Quebecers, we love our French, and we gotta get it on the go, and that's how we gotta get drilling with the love side of things, you know. So we gotta get it on the love, man, you know. That's it, that's all, you know. Oh yeah, this is what we're gonna do here. Can we pass by that side? I think we're gonna have to do a little bit of a crossing. Are we gonna cross here? But what? Just gonna put these in the back in my lion. Thank you to my anonymous friend who got me these. The lion here, lion bag, has a lion on it. See? Lion, L-I-O-N, not lying as in the verb, not telling the truth, not being honest, not being truthful, but in lying like a lion. I don't think lions don't lie, they roar, eh? So I'm just gonna put it in the bag. Here we are, downtown area. Gotta get it on the love, and that's how we gotta get it on the love, man. Lots of traffic here, and now I can pass on the side, and joyous people, I guess. So we're gonna get it on the love side of things, and that's how we're gonna get it on the love side of things, and getting ready for the F1. So that's why I want to pass over there a little bit, just to show off, you know, in Montreal. I'm making some noise. Gonna get it for the love and the F1. I guess not. I'm just gonna. I decided not. Anyways, F1, because if I go, because of the music, is gonna block my video. It's gonna block my video. So because of course it's gonna block my video, I don't want to go all the way, you know. Basically, that's why I'm not going all the way, because they're gonna block my video, and I don't make any money. I've been working on the YouTube channel for years, and financially stressed for years, you know, Asperger's, and now we're gonna get a little bit of in Asperger's, you know. What Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition, and makes me predisposed, you know, to special interests, and those special interests are of course involved usually around certain things which of course make us weird, awkward, and socially bizarre, and socially on the go, you know, to get it on the love side of things. And that's how we gotta get drilling, you know, for the love side of things. And here we gotta get on that boulevard, a little bit of green graffiti, and that's how we gotta get passing by that side. And Here we gotta get it on the construction workers. Stay on the right side, just like driving. That is protocol, which gotta be implemented. And just like I said before, we gotta implement the new 911 Dragon, North American Collective 911 Dragon protocols, the 911 Dragon, North American Dragon protocols for the North and the South as we're gonna fuse. And I urge, of course, sportsmanship, 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 sportsmanship in all things and in all cases as it can be, of course, because we have to, of course, you have to give warning. But the deployed Marines and armed forces, Marines and armed forces and Marines and National Guard and armed forces deployed, of course, in the states. And I urge only one thing, first and foremost: sportsmanship in new conduct. Gotta implement all the North American Collective. We gotta implement. We gotta implement the protocols, the new 911 Dragon. I was gonna say Cobra because I think that's what it was written there. Cobra. Say we're gonna have to implement the Cobra protocols, but it's actually the 911 Dragon total 911 Dragon protocols for integration with this citizen population in the 21st century. Total security, total service, total defense. And of course, I gotta say that, gotta just say a little bit on ASPE, just like I'm gonna salute a little bit of those firefighters, firefighters. So as I'm gonna salute the firefighters there, the bakers, the butchers, the nurses, and the truckers, and those, of course, who do a little bit of love. And that's what we gotta get doing, man. And gotta say, love our firefighters a little bit. Somebody make them some good loving, and black, white, you gotta do some loving with me, and then you gotta do some loving with me, and get some good loving with me, if you gotta do. And that's what we gotta get doing on that, and that's what we gotta get doing on that XYZ, and gotta get it on love, man. Some things which we have to be doing on that, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, and so we gotta get drilling, for the XYZ, and gotta get a love side, sometimes which we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and the firefighters, the plumbers, and the electricians, and the bakers, the nurses. And that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love. And that's what it is, man. Some things which we gotta just admit, and some things which we gotta work on sometimes, and that's what we gotta get drilling, for the. Look at those, wow. Sometimes I gotta check a little bit of that art, and of course I would love a little bit of color on the art, but kind of looks a bit, not sure what to make of it. Not really sure what to make of it, to be honest. Undecided. Undecided on the art, but whatever I said, of course, I'm gonna discuss a little bit of aspiness. So aspies, we're different, we're neurodivergent, and this neurodivergence makes us predisposed to those special interests, and that's what it is with that. And these special interests, of course, make us predisposed to those special interests, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta get loving with that, man. So something which we got, it's something which we gotta be mindful of, and we gotta get on that doing, and we gotta get doing for the butchers, the bakers, and the nurses, and the doctors, and the firefighters, and all those involved in the production and the distribution, and all those, of course, who gotta get doing with that. And we gotta get on the love side of things, and we gotta get the left, right, Z, and that's what we gotta get doing, so. Live, I just want to take a look at these a bit. I don't know if they serve a purpose or of course if they have whatever purpose they have or whatever the case may be. That's what we gotta get doing, you know. But I don't know, I just would say a little bit of color on it. Let's do another zigzag. Let's do another zigzag like that, like a snake, you know. Go up and down a little bit like that, you know, a little bit of up and down. So again, you know, gotta get that sportsmanship, you know. Gotta get that sportsmanship, and that's how we got, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, man. You know, we gotta get on the XYZ, and we gotta. Oh, but then I'm gonna be in the music, I guess, and being in the music, maybe it's gonna be interfering with. Yeah, because I think it's gonna block. See, the problem is that it's gonna block my video. Anyways, the big Formula One festivities, and let's throw some festivities. Me, Dragon versus Trump, and of course me and Donald Trump. We're gonna fight on the. Yeah, I'm not gonna go because there you got the music, so it's gonna interfere. It's gonna block my video, I guess. So we're just gonna sing a little bit of rock and roll, Dragon Maid. Rock and roll for the farmers, butchers, bakers. Somebody gotta sing for the boys and girls in blue. Ain't nobody perfect, that includes that me and you. Rock and roll for those who do their criminal rehabilitation, you know. Gotta get on that criminal rehabilitation, and that's how we gotta get drilling with that, and that's how we gotta be some salutations for the public workers. So I'm good at rock and roll, geopolitics, sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport. Androgynous Haspy. Artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, honest, enthusiast, and mystic. Sometimes was reincarnated. A man, a woman, a woman, a man, and a woman, a man, a man, a woman, and you get that 50-50 now. Friday the 13th is lucky for me, so I guess going all the way up to the mountain and coming back to the mountain, and I think it's all love, love, love. I've been prescribed a little bit of those vision glasses, not the big ones, but can't of course afford to buy them, and that's what it is, to afford to buy, of course, whatever the case may be, and can't afford to purchase them yet. So of course, due to monetary constraints, that's why I can't get a little bit of that rock and roll with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the drills, and so we're gonna get doing on the love side of things, you know, for the left, right, and Z, and so we gotta get doing on that blessings, and sometimes the curses, such as the curse of Asperger's, has been turned, of course, into. These are nice, you know, these are nice. The curse of Aspies. Because Asperger can be difficult to manage. There is a lot of misunderstanding, so I'm going to drill a bit on the Asperger's. So of course, Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition which makes, of course, me predisposed to special interests, and those special interests are of course usually preoccupied. Just gonna stretch a bit. Usually those special interests are of course our preoccupations, and that's how we're gonna get doing over our special interest are the preoccupation of the go, and we gotta get it on the do, and we gotta get it now, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. So something which we gotta be circumferential about, and that's how we gotta get doing, man, for the left, right, and Z, and that's how we gotta get loving, and we gotta get doing for the love, you know. So that's how we gotta get on the love side of things, and gotta get on the love side of things, and we gotta get on that transgressions, you know. So we gotta get doing on that, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and Asperger's, in that we're neurodivergence, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on the love, you know. So we gotta get doing, you know. So that's what it last goes, man, you know. We gotta get doing on love, you know. So we gotta get doing, you know. So something which we gotta get doing. We're just gonna wait. Wow, look at these. Just gonna go inspect a little bit of that flowers there. So we're gonna inspect a little bit of these flowers here, and that's how we're gonna go get it with that, and so we're gonna go get it with that, man. Wow. Gotta get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing, man. Look at these flowers, man. Kinda nice. Oh, something nice about them, and that's what we gotta get doing, and so we gotta get doing on that, and we're gonna get discussion of the Asperger's things, and so we're gonna get doing with the love side of things, so that's what we're gonna get doing with the XYZ, and gonna get doing with the love side of things, so you gotta get doing on the drill. Gonna go around about it. Yeah, that's what it is, man. Gotta go to the mountain, That's where we feel good, and that is what we do, man. 24/7, and well, not at night sometimes, no, but and so we gotta get drilling with that, and so we gotta get on that rock and roll, to get it on the love, Now we ascend, and we're gonna go back down and zigzag it, And so we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get doing, That's what we gotta get, man. Up and down, that's fun. At least for me, I love it. Like you go up, you go down, right? So that's what we got, You go up, you go down, and so we gotta get loving, man. So we gotta get on that drill, man. It's 24/7, So sportsmanship, So we gotta get rock and rolling, man, All the way up. All the way up. You feel it. You feel the pull. So, have fun for F1, drive safely, I guess. We're gonna get doing with that. And that's all we're gonna get doing, so. That's what it is, man. And here I like the complex how it's done. I like the complex how it's done. That's what we got, and that's what we gotta get drilling, man. I like the complex. You gotta salute the workers, man. Construction workers. Gotta get a little bit on that, and gotta get drilling, and gotta get on the go, and gotta get on the left one's head, and so we gotta get doing, man. So something which we have to, have to do, and that's what it is, man. Here it is, turning left or right, and so you gotta get doing here. Prudently crossing the streets. I feel good, feeling good. Look at this beauty. Isn't just beautiful? I would love to drive this beauty. Hawk Island, Montreal. Welcome to Hawk Island, Montreal. Again. Asperger's is here, man. Not a mental illness. It's a neurological mental divergent condition, Makes me predisposed, to those special interests. And again, on Asperger's, not a mental illness. Asperger's is not a mental illness, and that's what it is. That's what it is, not a mental illness. Neurological mental divergent condition, and that's what it is, and I have to live with it, and I have to manage my characteristics because they're not symptoms, and I always have to manage and build bridges. Build bridges with my fellow neurotypicals, which constitute the majority of the population, right? the majority of the population, you are the 99.56% compared to us, the neurodivergence. The Aspies is, my Aspi community is not that big, less than 1%, less than half of a percentile. It's about 0.44, 0.44, and what a beautiful flowers here. Look at these, man. I just love these beautiful. Some of the beautiful I've seen this spring. Still spring until next week, so that's why we're gonna get drilling, and that's why we're gonna get that rock and roll with it, and that's why we're gonna go get it for the left, for the right, for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and the electricians, the plumbers, those butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters, and gotta send them some LOV to those in the daycares to change some diapers. And I got a little bit of dose. I gotta take a little bit of dose. Actually, I'm gonna smell them a bit. Perfume like. Not bad. The scent's not bad at all. I like it. And you got some more. Oh, you got some more flowers here. This smells a bit musty. This smells a bit I'm gonna say like catnip, cat piss. No, I love Katniss Everdeen, of course, and I'm an artist as well, and I'm making a reference to Hunger Games. Anyways, back to Asperger's. It's not a mental illness. This neurological mental divergent condition makes me predisposed to those special interests which preoccupy our daily habits and routines with intensity, super concentration, and super focus. But the problem is that sometimes those are to the detriment of other things. You got to be prudent here. It's a tough one here when you cross the street, although it's one way. So one way, you got to be prudent because they can come fast, because it's like a valley, because we're up the mountain. So that's why you got to get on that prudence. So when you cross the street, just cross the street safely, turn your heads left and right, and just rock and roll with that. So Asperger's is a neurological mental divergent condition. We Aspies have mutations of the brains at the micro level. The cause is yet inconclusive. The origins of the cause is yet inconclusive, and of course the cause is not yet fully known. There's a variation, and of course kind of sometimes a composite between being a hereditary, there's biological, genetic, hereditary, or of course hereditary biology, hereditary genetic, or of course environmental. So it could be environmental, it could be genetic, hereditary. So of course us Aspies, we are just weird socially, and that's how we are with that, and that's how we are in the consequence of how we live, how we interact in the world in a more awkward manner. Certain things can be more difficult, the social comprehension, and basically, of course, comprehensive socially. We can be sensitive to noises or certain things. We can be more sensitive and sensitive to noises with that, or some things which we gotta be mindful that our sensitivity sometimes to noise or smells can be, of course, more than the average. And the problem is, the majority of the problem lies us Aspies, the high unemployment rate. So there's a super high unemployment rate. Between 60 and 80% of Aspies are unemployed. So that's 11 times higher than the normal population. 11 times higher than the normal population. 11 times higher than the normal population. And also being depressed and being suicidal. Being depressed and being suicidal is also 9 times higher. So I lived to being depressed and suicidal, I lived being depressed and suicidal. I lived being depressed and being suicidal. Also repetition of words or phrases or sentences can be a problem for Aspies. So we might repeat 2-3 times the same thing, or we might have as characteristics, because I refuse to utilize the word symptom. Symptom is for an illness. Asperger's is not an illness, and we certainly have our strengths. Our strengths usually lie lie in our special interest. And it's geopolitics 24/7, geopolitics 24/7, geopolitics 24/7, geopolitics 24/7. And I am an independent geopolitical theory economist and theorist. I predicted what's happening now back in 2019. I predicted what's happening now back in 2019. In October, November, I predicted what's happening now, In October, November, I predicted what's happening now. more than 5 years ago. And more than 5 years ago, I also survived COVID. For me, it was like death, pestilence, and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease, death, pestilence, and disease, like on my enemies, please. I know it sounds like a hardcore death trash metal song when I say death, pestilence, and disease, but of course, that's what it is with that, and that's what we're gonna go doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get on that rock and roll, man. So basically what it is, and that's what it is for the doers, man, and that's what it is, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things, you know, and that's what it is for the left and the right and in the middle and in the center, and that's what it is for the rock and roll, man. It's something which I gotta put on and gotta get for the 63, man. 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, my brothers and sisters in uniform, in the National Guard and in the Marines deployed. That's the mountain deployed. Please, please, please. Constraint, and restraint and sportsmanship. You gotta apply sportsmanship. That's a must. That's what you have to do. Sportsmanship is something which you have to apply. As I go down now here, like that, see? So you gotta be prudent, you know, to get it on the left, right, Z, and so you gotta get doing on the X, Y, Z, and meaning when I say X, Y, Z, it's basically I'm making a reference to the protocols of the driving in the public, right? You gotta keep on the left or on the right, and on the right and on the left, right? You keep on the right, basically, if you're driving the car. Just that's basically what I mean by that, and just stay on the right side, you know. That's what you gotta get doing, and I think somebody holding hands there, and that's what we got, and that's what we gotta get doing. I love seeing people holding hands a little bit and that, so we gotta get on that love, man, you know. A little bit of these flowers here, I'm gonna check, and I'm just gonna gawk a bit. Smoke free zone, and just gonna stretch a bit here. I'm gonna go stretch, you know. I don't wanna, just gonna stretch a bit here and stretch my hips left and right, and gotta check a little bit, some left, right, and get prudence, and yeah, man. So I like to see people holding hands and loving a little bit, you know, gives me a little bit of hope. Oh, I'm gonna go drink water. I'm gonna go hydrate and be grateful, thankful, you know, to get it on the do, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing on the left and the right and on the center, in the middle, and all those involved, you know, production, distribution of fruit. I gotta make a little bit of love letter to them, you know, and please, sportsmanship again, you gotta give that sportsmanship, you know, give that sportsmanship with that, and that's what it is, and that's what we got, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing for the blessed and the black and the white and the rainbow, and that's what we gotta get doing with the sportsmanship and the conduct. Of course, we gotta get drilling with that, and we gotta get drilling on the rock and roll, and that's what just we have to be living freely, lovingly also, you know. You can't just be strong and free, you know. Strong and free, you just gotta be strong and free and free and brave, home of the brave, land of the free, home of the brave. You gotta add some of that good loving. Look at that, that's nice. It's like a hawk, maybe. Oh, not beautiful. Is that a hawk on top? Hawk, my totem bird, maybe he's got double wings. Hawk, I'm not sure, it's not written, but certainly looks like a hawk there, see? Certainly looks like a hawk, you know. So we got, and so we gotta get drilling with that, and we gotta get doing on the left side of things, and we gotta get doing on the go, as it's a pre-Sabbath special rock and roll. Hear that bird rock and roll? Sometimes I gotta keep it quiet because the birds are singing that good rock and roll better than me. So I gotta get a little bit of that inspired and get a little bit of that XYZ, and so we gotta get loving with that, and so we gotta get on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing for the blessed, and gotta get doing on the love side of things, you know, to get on the do, and that's how we gotta get loving, you know. Sorry guys. Oh, it's so high. Way too high. Sorry about that. I didn't know it was that high. We gotta get it now, you know. Usually is a few seconds you gotta wait because it's iron, you know. So otherwise you get sick.
Because we are students, I think that driving the always
Sun, you know. That's what we gotta get doing with that. And gotta get doing on the love, you know. We gotta get doing on the love side of things and zero. How do you say? Nicht versteht. Deutschen folks. That's what it is, man, and that's what we're gonna go passing by here. You know, we're gonna get on the XYZ and gotta get knowing, man, you know. It's not your... It's a difference. It's not your advantage, though. You're indifference, man. Gotta go stretch a little bit here, right in the corner. Oh yeah, right in the corner there. That's what it is, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is. You know, we gotta get on the love side of things, and gotta get on that goal, man. You know, gotta get doing on the love side of things, and yeah, we gotta get the love side, man. You know, something which we got, and gotta get doing on the side, man. You know, something which we gotta be doing. Man. So we gotta love it, man. Actually, I don't have to go. I thought I was gonna have to go, but I don't have to go. Just gonna stretch a bit. The backpack. Oh yeah. All right, now we headed, rock and roll it. By which side? You know, we're gonna go by the side of the lions. There's lions there, so we're gonna enter by that side and cross all the way. So we're gonna do something different than we usually do. So again, to call on my brothers and sisters to go call on my brothers and sisters who are deployed. Hey, U.S. Armed Forces, Marines, sportsmanship, 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 sportsmanship. We're deployed. Tomorrow's gonna be a big day. June 14th, celebration. And that's what we're gonna get doing. Celebration for that, and that's what we're gonna get rock and rolling, you know. We're gonna get that celebration, man. Celebration. So this celebration mode has to be the fact that being a democratic republic and calling for sportsmanship is super important. That's why my new 911 Dragon Army total security, total service, total defense for the SSD, implementation of my philosophies, initiatives, such as the total 911 Dragon Army protocols, because 911 is for Canada, United States, for Canada, United States, for Canada, United States, and that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get going, you know, the new 911 protocols, you know. For the total, we're gonna cross and go there, maybe. We can cross there, we got 15 seconds, and that's what we gotta get doing with the 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 9 seconds, 11 seconds, 12 seconds. Gonna get it on the go, and that's what we're gonna get doing on that. 2 seconds. Yeah, 2 seconds, man, you know, so I had 2 seconds left. That's all we got, and that's how we gotta get down that rock and roll, man, you know. So we gotta get drilling, man, you know. Oh, we can cut through here, let's see. Maybe. This reminds me of a few, when I pass alleys like this, you know, I spent a few years, like, on my depression, like rock and rolling in the libraries and in the alleys like this, rock and rolling in the aisles, rock and rolling, and I guess on or in alleys just like this, and one foot in the alleys and the streets and one foot in the libraries for a few years. But you know, my memory goes blackout, retrograde amnesia, and I remember 7, 8 years, 9 gets a bit more difficult, then 10 there's like a fogginess, and then 11 there's a blackout after 11. So I don't know if I just lived in a very moldy place, kind of like a tight prison like type of cell, and I guess I served my time, and it was kind of like a prison cell with that, and that's how we gotta get drilling with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know, for the appreciating every day since I died of COVID. And I moved, I guess this July 1st is probably gonna be 10 years for sure. 9, maybe even 10, or maybe even 10, 9 or 10 this July 1st. So you know, I moved 2016 or 2015, and I was attacked by surprise, and a few years ago I hit my head on the concrete, had a dislocated right shoulder. I went to the Jewish General Hospital. The Jewish General, they cracked it back, and they cracked it back on that, and that's why they cracked it back on that, and being that they cracked it up, and they replaced it back, and I was put on some meds, and you know, put on some meds for pain, because I was bloodied up, and I survived that, and I was bloodied up, and I was kind of like in a coma, you know, for a few days. So maybe that's what caused my memory loss. early memory loss, not linguistic or mathematical capabilities, but because that's not associated with the same particle, but memories, personal memories, personal memories, you know, personal memories, personal memories. The personal memories, sometimes they come back, but you lose them paradoxically by trauma or by trauma. So I don't know how I know a little bit of Latin. I know some mathematics. I know, but geopolitics, because it's my special interest, because I have Asperger's. But see, I'm able to know that is 921. See the Roman numerals, because M is 1,000, C is 100, M. So when you put it before, you subtract from 1,000 100, and XX 21. So I know that is 1921. That represents the Anno Domini 1921, 1921. So I know Latin, I know Roman numerals come easy to me. For some reason I speak and I can read Latin. Not great, but I can read it, and I certainly can speak it. Model of somewhat can speak it. Model of somewhat, not fluently, but I can understand it if I listen to it or if I can read it. So maybe past life reincarnations, a priestess, a man, and some hieroglyphs, also past life reincarnations, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with the ghost. So basically that's what it is, and so you gotta get drilling on that. So whatever the case may be, we gotta get on the side of these things here when we cross the street. Gotta cross prudently, and gotta cross on the go side of things, and gotta go get a left, right, and Z, and gotta go for the left and for the right, and for the butchers, the bakers, and the nurses, and the bakers, the electricians, the plumbers, and all those involved, you know, production, distribution of food. Gotta go now in a parallel life at design, build, you know, supercomputers, and gotta go get there, and gotta go get there, you know, for the supercomputers and the firefighters, the plumbers, the electricians, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, man. In a parallel life, I'm also an ASPI. I design, build supercomputers, microchips, ICBM rockets. In this life, I have Asperger's, but in this life, of course, my special interest is geopolitics, sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport, and rock and roll. And to the fact that I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical honest theorist who has predicted what's happening now. So I'm not sure exactly because it's inconclusive. Not doctors, neuroscientists don't really know the origins, the cause of Asperger's, which is not a mental illness. So neurological mental divergent condition. It certainly makes us predisposed to special interest and repetition of words, certain characteristics which seem odd, weird, and eccentric, and those characteristics, and we can be pretty intense, concentrated, and super intense, and super concentrated, super intense, super in it, and super intense, super concentrated, and super in it. And that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with the go, you know. So that's what it is. Need a little. That's what it is with that, and that's what it is, and we gotta get doing on that, you know. It's something with the. I admit that, eh? Subconscious, you know. So basically that's what's been the rock and roll, man, you know. That's what it is, and that's what it is, you know. So that's what we gotta get drilling, you know. Something which we got, you know. Now we gotta get doing. So basically, of course, Asperger's is this neurological mental divergent condition which makes us predisposed to obsessive interest, eh? That's what it is, man. And Asperger's, you know, the problem is, of course, is there's a high unemployment rate.
They're right over here.
That's what it is, man. That's what it is. Then you're always coming to that very condition, you know, makes me predisposed, you know, to obsessive interest, and that's what it is, you know, to get it on the go, you know, getting on the blue and getting on the left and getting on the right and getting on the go, you know, so something which we gotta get doing, you know, something which we have to get on that parallels, you know, because it's something which we gotta be obtrusive about and be all inclusive, you know, and be mindful here. And let me check, maybe I try to get by this side. The problem is, I lived being depressed and suicidal, and the problem is Aspies, the high rates of suicidal tendencies and depression. It's 9 times higher than the vast majority of the neurotypicals, of which you constitute 99.56%. 99.56%, compared to us less than 1%, less than half of a percentile is 0.44%. 0.44%, right? What did I enter here? Somewhere I can go around the body, maybe by that side. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna go off. Yeah, but I really need to pee. So sorry, I'm not sorry, but I really gotta go. So that's gonna be the bush here. So see you in a bit, in a bit, in a bit, in a bit. Can't. I'm gonna be on me. Oh yes. Sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you just have to. Whew. I'm not gonna shake anybody's hands because gotta get to a water source. Hygiene. But I was gonna just pee on me. I'm gonna be admitting it that, you know, I had to just, sometimes I just have to go, you know, because, you know, I have my little clit, and my little scar gets erections, sometimes rocket, but I have a scar, it might be also, don't have the money to pay the $300 for the dermatologist, but it might be psoriasis or eczema, psoriasis, because I get itchy, you know, I get irregular itches. It just itches sometimes, like ants. I kind of like feel like ants passing, and I kind of at ants passing. So that's just something that I live with, and it's not something that I hide or I'm ashamed of or whatever. I've clit, and I discussed it in the past, and yeah, apply some cream and itches less. But sometimes I just feel like, you know, just out of nowhere I have to go pee, which can be annoying. I guess it's maybe because I hydrated a lot on the way also, to take that in consideration. So I left 3 drops, maybe 4, maybe 4 and 4 and a third. 4 and a third. 4 and a third, you know. 4 and a third, you know. 4 and a third drops, I guess. That's what I gotta get doing with that. So I gotta get doing. So basically, Asperger's, the problem is, so we are a tiny small minority. We're 0.44% of the population, not even 1 percentile, not even 1%. The problem is high unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is 11 times higher, and the depression and suicidal rate is 9 times higher. 9 times higher. 60 and 80% of Aspies are unemployed. It's not that we don't have to, it's just that we can be very strange and weird, and that makes it for a short-lived employments. Short-lived employments. I had many jobs in the past 7 years. It's just keeping them, you know, maintaining the regular employment. So it's way too high, and I've been depressed and suicidal. What got me out of being depressed and suicidal was crossing Canada, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That event really changed my whole life. Crossing Canada really changed my whole life. In 2017, when I crossed Canada, August and September, that event made me come out of being depressed and being suicidal, and That's how we gotta get doing, you know, for the XYZ, and that's how we gotta get doing on the love side of things, you know, to get it on the love side of things, you know. So that's something which we have to be admitting, you know, that we gotta get doing on the love, and gotta get doing on the bakers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and the firefighters, and the doctors, the plumbers. Gotta watch when I cross the street, or sometimes I like to look a little bit at these here, you know. These things here, where they are, where are they people? Oh yes, my rent didn't go up a lot, and I gotta be grateful because it's better than where I live now. Where I used to live, it was really moldy, you know. That's what it is, and it was really moldy. I got 24 seconds. 24, 29. Gotta check over that bikes, man. Check over those bikes, how fast they're gonna go, and he's there on the bike, man, going like that. Sometimes you see them, I wonder what bikes it is. I don't really know bikes that much, but sometimes I gotta check what the bike is. Harley Davidson, you know. Gotta check it for the bike, and that's why I gotta check it on the go, and gotta get it on the drill, man, you know. The bikes. Yeah. Good for you. That's my favorite skyscraper there, see? And that's what we got from the go, and that's what we got for now. And so we gotta get down rock and roll, and you know, beautiful city. Gotta go get it for now, and so we gotta get it, man, as we go towards the sun. So we're gonna rock and roll towards the sun now. So again, the problem is ASPE is high unemployment and lots of misunderstandings. It's not a mental illness. It's not something you can medicate. We have these mutations, and these mutations in certain things we can be intense. And like I stated before, I don't like violence, but I am hyper vigilant because I lived my trauma. I was surprised attacked and was attacked by surprise, and being that I was attacked by surprise, you know, being that I was surprised attacked, you know, something which we have to be understanding about, and that's something which we have to do, you know, to get going on that. And so we got to get on that simulation, you know. And now we're going towards the sun, and gotta get it on the XYZ, and we gotta get for the love side of things, you know, something which we gotta be participatory in. So Asperger's is not a mental illness, and it's not something which of course can be medicated, you know, but we gotta get to see, you know. So it is something which we have to be aware of, you know. So Asperger's is of course something which we have to be made realistic about. That there's no medication, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. car is dead. Welcome. Perfect. These are the lions. Anyway, so that's why we're gonna get drilling, man, and we're gonna get it on the love, and gonna get it for now, and so we gotta get doing, man, to get some of that good loving, you know, and get some good rock and roll with that, and so we got it, man, you know, for the love and the butchers and the bakers and the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and all those involved, you know, production of that food, you know, and it's gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get doing, you know, so something which we gotta be, you know. They wanna get us under the go, and they wanna get us now, and so we gotta get doing, man. Now, more important to say that discussing, of course, the solution to the problems which we are faced now, you know, the problems which we are faced now. We gotta get on the XYZ, and so I gotta get doing, you know, for the love and firefighters and butchers and the bakers. Can't let anyway, so I'm just put a little of that. That's what you gotta get doing on the drill, and that's what you gotta get doing on now, you know. for the left, and for the right. So I'm going to discuss what I know. Things which is an aspect we excel, a special interest. Things is an aspect we excel at. Those special interests, which we have to do, and that's what we gotta get drilling. So my special interest, is of course geopolitics, and rock and roll, and sports and fitness. So I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and I predicted what's happening now back in 2019, October, November. I predicted an international conflagration, which I said is going to be in the coming 7 years. The 50-50 was on nuclear weapons to be used, but more than 2/3 on bioweapons. And now supposedly we got the third revelation that is the third persons or pleasure persons as risk. We gotta be doing on that, and that's what we gotta get drilling, so we gotta get doing, to get it on the drill and get it on the go, so that's what it is. That's what we gotta be doing, and we gotta be consequentially about the possibility of a biological weapon. And being COVID out here, it's possible that it was a bioweapon. I don't know, I believe it was snakes to human beings transmitted, but it could have been something else. It could have been, of course, engineered in a lab, Could have been engineered in the lab. Could have been a bioweapon, and that's what we got. And could have been a bioweapon, so it could have been. I don't know for sure. That's what it is. But it could have been a bioweapon, Could have been a bioweapon, That's what it is. And it could have been a bioweapon, That's what it is, man. Could have been a biological weapon. But I don't know for sure. So I have a doubt. So if I have a doubt on my belief in snakes transmitting coronavirus is not conclusive, thus I cannot rule out another possibility. But what I do know for sure is that before COVID, I produce a workout training program system. I got to salute, I consider Quebecers Canadians, so my brothers and sisters in the 50 states for the 63 always, 10 plus 50 plus 3. Just like my cousin there. Good for you, exercise, and I love. See, I got to adjust my more than 44 backpack. But it brings me joy to come here, and I'm in a good mood. Sometimes I get still moody, but I'm no longer depressed and suicidal thanks to having crossed Canada. That's when I established 2017, summer 2017, crossing Canada coast to coast is when I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, and which I consider family. And most, of course, of my work, of course, dates, of course, back to 2017, and after 7 years, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta get doing on the transition things, and we gotta get on the love and implement the Trinity of theories, the CIT, citizen integration theory. That's what we gotta be implementing, So they're implementing the CIT, citizen integration theory. That's what it is, and so we gotta be implementing now as soon as possible. It's of course an emergency situation, and of course we have reached a point of contention, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, man. Gotta get it on the up, and we gotta get it on the now, and that's what it is with that, and so we gotta get doing, See, that's a plantation zone there, and so we gotta get doing with XYZ, Oh, you rock and roll, I gotta get my main out, Gotta let that main out, Time to let that main out. Time to let the main out. putting a little bit of that main bit. Gonna get on that little main out, and so we gotta go drilling a little bit. There we go. Because we're in the wilderness, you know. We hear my mistress, my second home, you know. Second home. It's not just my second home, yeah. It's public, but it's not just my mountain, my Dr. Mountain, and mistress. And, you know, it's mistress and Dr. Mountain, and that's what we gotta get doing, man. You know, here we are. So we gotta get doing with that, and gotta get doing on the go. That's what we gotta get doing on the love side of things, you know. So we gotta get doing on that, you know. So something which we gotta be consequential about, you know. So here we are, always meditative and love. I've been on a fitness journey ever since I crossed Canada coast to coast, you know. That event made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. And that's when I had like an awakening, you know. Before that I was depressed. I was suicidal and lost many friends along the way. Pledge you allegiance to our family, and friends with benefits only. I don't want to waste nobody's time, you know. I don't want to waste nobody's time. I don't want to waste nobody's time, you know. Friends with benefits only. I don't want to waste nobody's time. I don't want to waste nobody's time, you know. I just don't. Look at that chipmunk. I don't want to waste nobody's time. That's why here, the floor on the fauna, and here, you know, here's where, of course, I came, and here's where you don't have to pollute a beautiful place, and my doctor, the mountain, my mistress, and that's what we gotta get doing on the XYZ, and we gotta get it on the go, and we gotta get it on the love side of things, and so we gotta get drilling on the go, and so we gotta get drilling on that, you know, something which we have to be thinking about and meditating and doing a little bit of that drills, you know, drills with that, and so we gotta get doing on now, and gotta get it on, and gotta get on that transgressive, and gotta get on the love, you know. So Asperger's, I'm gonna stick to what I know, geopolitics. Other things, Aspies, we can SCUK, suck, but we're good at our special interests, so geopolitics. I'm gonna make this statement, and this statement is always a yes for Canada. Quebec, Canada, it's Quebecers, Canadians. There's no maybe, there's no no. Our main foreign affairs interest, foreign affairs when it comes to foreign affairs policies, our main foreign affairs interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with our brothers and sisters in the USA. In the USA. And look at that mushrooms there. I see it blurred, see? I see it slightly blurred. Is to have the best, most cordial relations with our brothers and sisters in the USA. That is just our interest. 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 Our interest. Number one interest, primarily interest. Our number one interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with our brothers and sisters in the USA. That's just what it is. Our primary interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with our brothers and sisters in the USA. That's just how it is. Primary interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with my brothers and sisters in the USA. That's a constant, like the pi symbol. The pi symbol represents the circumference and the diameter of a circle. The diameter and the circumference of a circle. That is just our primary interest. That is just our primary interest. That is just our primary interest, is to have the best, most important relations with our brothers and sisters in the USA. And that's what it is with that. So that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta go XYZ, and we gotta go on the left side of things, you know. So we gotta get doing now, you know, something which we gotta be conclusive about. We gotta get rock and roll. And we gotta get that rock and roll, so that's what it is. And that's what it is, so something which we have to be on the love side of things, is something which we gotta be about, and we gotta get that rock and roll. That's what it is, That's how we gotta get on that rock and roll, so something which we gotta get doing, man. Gotta get on that left, right, and in the middle. Left, right, and in the middle. Left, right, and in the middle is sometimes best. Let's check out those stickers. So our primary interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with our brothers and sisters in the USA. That's just like the pi symbol. Pi symbol, which is a constant, a constant, a constant, a constant. And of course, just like the pi represents the circumference, the circumference, diameter and the circumference. Here it is, Hokkaido, Montreal, you can see it. That's the expo, well, not the expo, the 1976, They built the Olympic, man. Olympic Stadium. Olympic Stadium right there, man. See? There we go, see? The Olympic Stadium. That's what it is with that, and that's what it is, something like that, and we gotta get it on the go, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, so we gotta get XYZ, and we gotta get on the butchers, bakers, nurses, and that's where we go, man, there's the hawk. There's the hawk flying, see, my totem bird. Hawk, hawk, hawk. See, that's a hawk, H-E-W-K, man. That's a hawk. See? Look, that's my hawk, H-E-W-K, man. See, that's a hawk. Yeah, the way it flies there, black, white. It's black, white, and of course it's red beak. See? That's the hawk, man. See, that's a hawk right there. Hawk. And it flies away. It flies away. So the hawks, there's a bunch of hawks, around here. You gotta flip them. Sometimes they're rare to see, but they hover above. You see how they glide, Look at that island, Hokkaido, Montreal, and that's what we gotta get doing with the Hokkaido, Montreal, man. We gotta get doing on that, and gotta get doing on the love side of things here. We got a lot of that, and I support space exploration. Is that? Because I don't know where to park anymore. Is that what that says? That's a good one. I gotta say that's a good one. Like, see blurred, see? My vision, of course, is a bit on the blurry side and a bit on that, and that's how we gotta get drilling with that, and gotta get doing on the left side of things, and we gotta get doing on the love, and gotta get doing for that, So basically, geopolitics for me is 24/7, and I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and here I am, beautiful rocks of the mountain, and here we're gonna discuss the point that, of course, the fact is that geopolitically, so here we are. I just want to show that a bit. So geopolitically, our interest is to have the best, most cordial relations, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the rock and roll, and that's what it is for the XYZ, and see, this is, that's what it is, for the love side of things. You gotta get on the transmission, and you gotta get your geopolitics with me 24/7, and I predicted what's happening now. And again, just like the pi symbol represents a constant, so of course our constant is, of course, gotta go XYZ, and our constant is, of course, geopolitically our constant our constant geopolitical interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with my brothers and sisters in the United States, with the United States, with the United States. That's what it is, and that's what we got, and so we're gonna get doing with that, and so it is for the rock and roll, you know. So it is for the left, for the right, and in the middle, you know. So basically, what it is, and that's what it is now, and that's what we got, and that's where we have to be 100%. My brothers and sisters in the United States also. Your interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with us. Geopolitically, that's the constant. As I march on this Pre Sabbath, Sabbath begins at midnight tonight, lasts until Sunday sunset. As I go on these stairs, up and down the stairs. Anybody want to finance? They go up and down these stairs 300 times for $300. 300 times for $300, you know. 300 times for $300. 300 times for $300. That's what I gotta get doing here. And there's the hawk. Wow, that's the hawk, see? Red and white. Hawk, see how he splits? That's a good omen. Hawk.
Got it?
Yeah, I got it, yeah. Spread wing, that's a hawk, eh?
Yeah, a hockey.
Hawk.
Hawk, yeah.
Yeah, that's a hawk, my favorite bird.
Yeah.
I hope to see it again. They're so beautiful, but we gotta watch it because, you know, they're predatory birds, eh?
Oh, really?
But they are.
They're
See, there it is. Yeah, they're predator. We're probably not. We're not at risk. We don't have any risk because we're humans. But other than that, other animals they eat them, eh?
Right. Yeah.
And they're big, eh? They're huge. They're strong, man. Bye, guys. Be safe. Ciao, ciao. You too, guys. Gotta see it on that, and my brothers and sisters there. We gotta get it for the hawk, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love, man. My brothers and sisters, you know, come here to join us on the Collective North American Civilisation Complex, all the 63, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. Do the math, that's 63 for the dream. We gotta get rid of the border. And geopolitically, our number one interest, Canada, United States, vice versa, when it comes to foreign affairs, is to have the best, most cordial relations with each other. That's just how it is. There's no, and there's no maybe to that. It's always yes. It's always yes. It's always yes. That is a geopolitical constant. That is not a variable, right? That is not a variable. That is just a geopolitical constant. That's just how it is. Our main interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with each other. When I'm speaking about, of course, in terms of geopolitics, not other matters, as a foreign policy. So external politics is to have the best, most cordial relations with each other. That's just how it is. There's no maybe to that, but of course, that's just how it is. And you can see, you can come here again and get a little bit of sightseeing there on the go, and you can see Montreal East, and there's a little bit of that, and you can get it for the there it is. That's what it is with that, man. Gonna go down a bit and explore. That's what it is with that, and see what we gotta do on that, man. Gotta get it on the go, man. There it is. Where the Olympics, 1976 Olympics, man. That's where it took place. That's where it took place, man. Anyway, so come learn some French here. Inviting all my brothers and sisters in the 50 states. So come learn a little bit of that French. It's a Quebecer, Canadian, North American, you know. We got each other coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and just to my brothers and sisters, Marines, you know, deployed, and police. Just sportsmanship, you know, sportsmanship. And that's it, that's all. Rock and roll 24/7, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, and that's what we gotta get doing, man. Let's go. on the go as we go up and down. Make some good loving, man. Make some good loving. That's some of that good loving with that, man. That's some of that good loving, man. Gotta get on that good loving, you know. Gotta get drilling, you know. So something which we gotta get on the circumference, and the pie is, of course, getting with my brothers and sisters in the USA to come learn some French here. Learn some French here, learn some French, and that's it, what's all. And that's what we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get doing, man, you know. Yeah, man. So we gotta get on that goal, man. So we gotta get doing on that, you know. Yeah, we gotta get it, man. So our main geopolitical interest is to have the best That's it, that's all we gotta get drilling, man, to get it on the love side, you know. So our main geopolitical interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with each other, man. You see a little bit of rocks here. Rocks. Rocks. Rock and roll for the dogs. Dogs. Rock and roll 24/7. Community. Come on now. Okay. That's it, that's also, of course, as a geopolitical theoretical analyst, our main concern is to have the best, most cordial relations with our brothers and sisters in the USA, you know. That's what it is, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the go, and that's what it is for the rock and roll, you know. Some things which we have to be doing, and we gotta get doing on that, and we gotta get doing on the go, and geopolitically, it's something which we gotta be doing, you know. So that's what I gotta go doing, man, you know, with that, and gotta get doing on the love, man. So geopolitically, our main interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with each other. There's no other go around that. There's no yes. There's only yes. There's no no and no maybe. There's no no and no maybe to that statement, geopolitically. So now I'm gonna discuss the DRT. The DRT is super important because that's what I know. That's what I'm good at. My theories, the 911 protocols, the rehabilitation, the North American Act for the rehabilitation of the criminal population, and the DRT. What is the DRT? The debt refusion theory, of course, is my financial theory, and it's something which we have to implement where we are today in Concordium, where we have to be today in Concordium with everything which we have to be in common, and everything which we have to be in common here. The common collective for the 63, the kingdom, the empire, uniting Canada, United States, best to fuse. In my way, the king is absent. We don't need the border. We need my new 911 Total Dragon Army protocols for the implementation of the protocols, the aforementioned a priori, which I've written over the past 7 years in Concordium. So basically, we're gonna have to be, it's due to that. So why I make the statement that my DRT theory is the solution? Because of course we have paid record-breaking interest on the debt, and the debt interest has augmented during COVID in the past years, during February 2020 till now. It has increased exponentially, and such a big increase that of course it has increased proportionally, and that's what it is with that. It has increased on the proposition that it has increased so much has increased. in the fact that it has so much interest, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the XYZ, and that's what it is with the XYZ factors, and that's what it is with the love side of things, and that's what we gotta get going with that, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and that's what we gotta get doing, and it's something which we have to be doing. Don't turn, it's not personal, it's just numbers, mathematical, financial principle, and my theory paradoxically comes out of the curse of Asperger's, that I have geopolitics as a special interest, and you'd have to study a little bit of a financial matters when you study geopolitics. So as you check out those mountains, together we're gonna move a little bit of mountains, and that's how we're gonna get rock and rolling with that, and that's how we gotta get on that drill. You see a little bit of the river there, the river, of course, the river of what we have here is a civilizational complex. It's such a good things which we have to get it now, and we gotta get for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, the plumbers, the electricians, those in the daycares who change some diapers. See all of this beautiful, beautiful city, mega city. Of course, it is of course a privilege to have all the things which we have in common here across the North American Collective, and all the IT workers and all the connection, of course, in between. And there, my brothers and sisters playing a little bit of that football, soccer. I love dancing; is my favorite sport. And that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get doing on the love side of things. So that's where we are today, and that's what we gotta be doing, the DRT, because both the personal and the private financial situation is, of course, consequently in a parallel manner similar. In a parallel manner, it is similar. It is similar, it is similar. So, of course, in a parallel manner, it is similar, it is similar, parallel manner, because I am in debt, and many credit card debt, many citizens are in debt. Good for you, my cousin, to do a little bit of jogging, and so we gotta get drilling with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, and so we gotta get doing on the go with XYZ, and gotta get doing on that, and the DRTs for him, for me, for us. So we're gonna have to take all the public and the private debt, and the motive that I'm saying that is because otherwise we have to cut in the budget, eh? What are we gonna cut, Mr. Uncle Carney, Prime Minister? The King is absent, my fellow Canadians. Gotta get rid of the border. Time for the fusion. And of course, the debt levels have increased in the public so much by percentage that we're gonna have to cut and reduce. What are we gonna cut and reduce? The spending. The RCMP. The police, the sanitation, those picking up the garbage, the recycling, whatever the case may be. What are we gonna cut? What are we gonna reduce? We're going to have to reduce some things, right? Because it's not sustainable, because the interest on the public debt has increased. Consequently, for the public debt, so many people with credit card debt now swiping across the 63, getting more in debt. And the interest, and the problem is the stagnation of the salaries parallel to a double-edged financial sword crisis, is that the interest has increased, but the prices have increased, but they're not kept. The salaries have not kept. They're not kept with the increase of the cost of living. So there you have a double trouble. That's where the problem lies, fundamentally, in the consequences. You like Guns N' Roses?
Yeah.
Have you been to the...
No.
Okay.
T-shirt.
Tu l'aimes bien, le Guns N' Roses? You like Guns N' Roses? I like rock and roll, that's why I checked out. I like Guns N' Roses. November Rain? You know the song? You don't know? Tu connais pas la chanson?
Non, désolé.
De novembre? November Rain, you don't know? Okay.
Si je les entends, je les reconnaîtrai, mais j'ai une mémoire catastrophique.
C'est pas grave, man. Ils sont bons.
Bonne marche.
Toi, merci. Ciao. That's that rock and roll, man, He does Guns N' Roses. I'm gonna do roses and guns. I'm gonna do vice versa, but I gotta rock and roll with that, and that's what I'm gonna do. My cousin there, a little bit march. We gotta get it on the go, and we gotta get it on the love side of things, and that's how we gotta get drilling, We gotta get it on the love, and he's there. I love that rock and roll. So we're gonna get back to the DRT, debt fusion theory for the creation of the universal exchange in it. So that's what we're gonna get doing, man. We're gonna get doing on the love side of things, and we're gonna get doing on that love, We gotta get doing on the love, man. So the DRT, the debt fusion theory, is gonna have to be implemented, of course. It's gonna have to be implemented, of course, in something which we have to be doing, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. We're gonna have to be doing on the go, and that's what we're gonna get doing today. So because we have to cut and reduce the budget, we have to implement my DRT theory. It's an emergency. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, my 10,000 $10,000, here $10,000, whatever the case may be. Oh my, all the public-private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We're gonna add it all together. All the public and the private debt, we're gonna add it all together. And that public-private debt of Canada, we're gonna, of course, convert it into US dollars. We're going to convert it into US dollars. We're going to add it with the US dollars. Add it all together with the US dollars. We're going to create a new currency called the UE based on the value of the US dollar. U dot universal, U dot exchange, U dot unit. U dot universal, U dot exchange, U dot unit. U dot universal, U dot exchange, U dot unit. U dot universal, U dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit. The UE, the UE, the UE, the UE. The universal exchange unit. The UE based on the value of the US dollar. We're going to get rid of the border. Get rid of the border, create the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom armies. Public-private partnership base. My dream is a public-private partnership, and the DRT implementation is going to require a public and a private partnership to put it together and put it in place. Going to require Bill Gates, BlackRock, Blackstone and BlackRock are two different financial institutions. They split, separated in the 1980s. So we're going to have to implement my DRT theory, debt fusion theory. And that's what we're going to have to be doing. And of course, we're going to have to be doing on that rock and roll. And that's what we got to be on the love side of things now. So we're going to take all the blessings and we're going to take the DRT, the debt fusion theory. The DRT, here's the beautiful, beautiful buildings. And that's what we got to get doing on that, you know. So that's what we're going to get on that rock and roll. Here we are, man. That's what we're going to get doing. Right from here, man. It feels, when you go up like that, it pulls up, eh? It's a overtime workout, man. That's the skyscraper. I gotta show you that skyscraper before. That is my beauty. That skyscraper with a pyramid on top. I just love that one.
Saw the guys went away.
That's nice. All of them are nice, but that one. That's what it is with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing on the love side of things. And we gotta love, you know, we gotta get on that beautiful things and gotta get on the loves. And here we're gonna get that DRT, that fusion theory, and that's what it is, man, you know, something which we got, and that's what it is for the drill, you know. Here we are, you know, for the DRT, that fusion theory. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, and that's what it is, man, you know. That's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the go, and that's what it is to get it on the love side of things, you know. Something which we have to do. The DRT, that fusion theory, for the creation of the UE. We're gonna create this new currency, rebuild the infrastructure of the collective, rebuild the infrastructure of the collective, the infrastructure, build those 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, mass finance citizens fitness, mass finance the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, mass finance the Dragon Army, aka North American Collective, SSD Legion, the SSD Legion, and that's what we have to be doing, and that's what we have to be doing on the go, you know, for the XYZ, and that's something which we gotta be on the love side of things, you know, so something which we have to be doing, you know, so something which we gotta be doing. So the debt fusion theory, gonna have to implement it for the collective. There's no way around it. That's just how it is, and that's just how we gotta get drilled, man. Just gonna go drink some water and get a little bit of hydration and switch a little bit of that French, you know, because we're in La Belle Province here, you know. So it's the DRT, debt fusion theory. For the left, for the right, in the middle, the Democratic Republican, the DRT, debt fusion theory. DRT has to be implemented ASAP. It's something which we gotta be consequential, and that's how we gotta get doing it now. So that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get doing on that love side of things, you know. So something which we gotta be prudent about, and we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with the love. Whoops, I got it. No. not now, you know, we gotta get on the side, man. The debt refusion theory, DRT, debt refusion theory, the DRT, debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit. That's how we got, and that's how we gotta get drilling, you know. The DRT, you know, for the creation of the UE is the solution. We're on the verge of a public financial collapse, and it is what it is. And here on the mountain, my second home, Mount Royal. I'm gonna switch to that French one if we reach over there, but I just want to go to the top. We are at the top of the mountain, but then we're gonna go back on the other way and gonna revise the DRT, the debt refusion theory. Stands for D, debt, R refusion theory. It integrates the monetary integration theory in my DRT is integrated monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union back in the 90s. So we have to, it's an emergency. We can wake up Monday of a public financial collapse, a stock market crash, and tomorrow it could pop off and get martial law. We need to get the DRT, debt refusion theory, create the UE, create this new bank, and create the SSD Legion. SSD Legion, SSD Legion, SSD Legion, SSD Legion, you know. SSD Legion, security, service, and defense, total security and total service, total defense. That's how we gotta get doing on that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the total security, total service, total defense, and spread your legions, and our family. That's how we're gonna rock and roll and on that. And here we are, man. Top of the mountain, get that 5G, and we're gonna secure the border. No border, get rid of the border, and all the border fuse, and create a dancing goddess army, the DJ, the North American Integrated Dance League. Here we are at the top headquarters. We need to put the Dragon Army songs, and the Dragon Army. That's what I gotta get doing, you know. So I gotta get doing on that, you know, for the Dragon Army. Put the flags, the United States, and mix together for the 63. That's how we gotta get doing, you know. So for the love, for the sight, and for the butcher's bacon. Look at that. That's what it is there, you know. So that's beautiful. The 63 states of the kingdom, the empire. For the empire, we need to build sats. More sats, and build a Hawk, a Golden Dome Hawk, and get, of course, total security, total service, total defense, total 4G, total 5G, total 5G. That's how we're gonna get doing with that, and that's how we're gonna get drilling. And I'm just gonna go in the back now of the mountain, you know. That's how we're gonna be building here the new Democratic Republican North American Collective, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that, you know. So there we are. Headquarters of the Dancing Goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, and we're gonna get on that drill with that, man, you know. Beautiful things, and we got some lovers, some kissing, hugging, making some of that love, and they changed DC. There were other flowers now they're gonna come for the summer. Wow, they're gonna change, and thank you, public workers. I'm just gonna go get the hydration where I can get it first, and the best thing for me to do is to get the hydration downstairs. Downstairs is best, so I'm gonna go around about it like that in the back, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that, man, you know. So here we're gonna get doing, you know. I just gotta get on the left side, man, for the 63, you know. Gotta get it for the lovers and the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters, truckers, electricians, plumbers, firefighters, man. Firefighters, plumbers, electricians, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, construction workers, electricians, those in the daycares who change some diapers, you know, always, man. So here's the Belvedere Chalet Cognac, and here we're gonna go drink some water. I hope it's open, and then we're gonna go in the back. So this is the headquarters, and that's what it is with that. That's what it is, and you know, that's what it is for the go, and that's what it is for the left, right, and center. And here we are, you know, going up and going down and going on the go with that, man. Yep, grateful, thankful, DRT, debt refusion tree. We're gonna have to build those 44 tunnels. Oh no, it's closed. It's not open. It's actually closed, so we're gonna go up. That door doesn't open. Thanks. Here, I know where the next one is, so it's right there. See? So I'm just gonna drill a bit. Go gotcha. That's a nice one. Oh fuck. That was a good one. Somebody making that good love there. That's good. Gives me some hope, man. Gives me some hope, you know. Hope for a free world, you know. For the nuclear war starts, we gotta get those 44 tunnels built. That's why I need my brothers and sisters to go there. Criminal Rehabilitation Act and the DRT. Before they launch the nukes, we need to open ourselves up to the possibility of a nuclear war, and let's do it. Let's fuse Canada, United States. The king is absent, but we gotta rebuild the ghettos with some conditions, and we gotta get health care, and we gotta rebuild the ghettos, and we gotta get 50-50, you know, Democratic Republicans. Democratic Republican, pro-labor love, universal revolutionary centrist, you know. My centrism is tied hand in hand with my DRT theory, which we got to implement. We're going to build more hydroelectric dams and do lots of good. Just going to wait a few seconds, and that's what they're going to be, you know. We're going to be loving, man, here. Oh yeah, that's what we gotta do, man, you know. That's what we gotta do. Canada and United States mixed, fuse, and we gotta split for that French, man. This is where we are a belle province, so we gotta do it now and go back to get it on the go, and that's what we gotta get doing for the selfies. And bienvenue, on est sur la montagne, puis bien sûr on va faire des choses que je dois faire ici sur la montagne, puis si je vais vous encourager à l'entraînement physique, et bien sûr, je vais vous encourager à l'entraînement physique, et bien sûr, pour le faire ensemble, c'est quelque chose que je dois le faire de la manière qu'il faut qu'on soit, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on aille ensemble, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut que je sois moi-même, de la manière que je me prononce, bien sûr. Tantôt, j'avais pas discuté avec les policiers qui sont venus me voir parce que j'étais en train de loader, bien sûr, de la nourriture. C'est des choses comme ça, bien sûr, qu'avec l'Asperger, c'est un peu difficile. La communication sociale, qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans la procédure de m'engager, puis dire toujours de cette manière, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on se fasse de l'avoir dans cette affaire de l'histoire, bien sûr, de le savoir. That's the sound of the free. That's the sound of the brave. And that's the sound of the loving. Welcome to the kingdom of the 63. Of the 63. Welcome to the kingdom. So that's where we're gonna go. Now it's gonna switch to that French a bit, you know. Gonna switch it to that French arenas, you know. And that French, man. That province. Gotta let my fellow citizens know that there's a risk here in the forest due to falling branches. So, hello. You guys speak English? Yeah. Be careful, the branches sometimes fall here. The more you stay, the more you're at risk, as you can see by the side. You gotta be prudent. The more you stay, the slower pace you go. The windier it gets. You see? So it happened to me. I got close, so I don't want anybody experiences the same, because Mr. is a woman sometimes, but yeah, a little bit of both. Most important thing is that you're safe and cautious, man. Regardless of what I am or what I'm not. Yeah? You will. C'est ça, parce que, tu sais, il y a des branches qui tombent, c'est pour ça que je leur dis, vous voyez toutes ces branches qui tombent d'en haut, puis moi j'en ai vécu souvent, tu sais, des fois ça tombe, des fois ça peut commencer à venter, tu sais, s'il y a de la pluie qui vient, vous êtes à risque, checkez ça, ces branches-là, check ça, tu vois, check ça ici, vous voyez cette branche-là ici, là, et regarde, toutes ces branches-là ici, look at that one, see? You see? There's the proof. Ça, c'est la preuve. Puis ces branches-là aussi. Toutes ces branches-là ici, que ça tombe, tu sais. D'en haut, là, que ça tombe. Fait que juste soyez prudent. Si vous rentrez ici, là, dans la forêt, c'est pas, vous êtes à risque. Il y a un risque, là. C'est tout. That's it, that's all. Là. Rentrer dans la forêt, un risque. Que les branches tombent comme celle-là, que je dis souvent, tu sais, juste faites attention, puis that's it, that's all, rock and roll, soyez prudent. Vous voyez, celle-là, ça a tombé ici, hein, sur le chemin, là, c'est ça le problème. C'est pour ça que je niaisais pas, puis ça niaise pas. Vous entendez quelque chose de craquer en haut, là, vous bougez bien vite, pour votre sécurité, que je vous le dis, hein. Je vous avertis, ben, je vous ai vu, vous êtes en train de vous aimer, j'adore ça, vous voir en train de vous embrasser, en train de faire l'amour, puis en train de... Ben, pas tout l'amour, là, parce que ça, il faut le faire dans un hôtel ou en privé chez vous, là, parce que des fois, il y a peut-être des enfants qui passent. Mais, tu sais, vous donnez des bisous, des câlins, des caresses, c'est correct, là. Tu sais, pas de problème, là. Je préfère voir ça que voir de la violence ou d'autres choses, moi, tu sais, fait que... That's all, tu sais. Fait que regardez, là, tu sais, c'est des branches qui tombent. Fait que c'est pour ça que j'avertis toujours les gens, soyez prudents. C'est pas une blague, ça tombe, ça tombe, ça tombe. Puis des fois, ça peut commencer un coup de tonnerre. Vous voyez cette branche-là ici, ça tombe, là, tu sais, ça tombe. Fait que c'est quelque chose qu'il faut que vous soyez prudents, tu sais. Pour votre sécurité, votre bien, en bon samaritain, samaritaine, prêtresse de la déesse du roi arc-en-ciel, là. Que Dieu déesse, blablabla, mais tu sais, on est nous ensemble ici, fait que ma liberté, ma sécurité, puis un bon samaritain de l'être toujours, un bon samaritain, puis c'est tout, that's all. Et des fois, tu sais, moi je peux être complexe, puis avec l'Asperger's, l'autisme, c'est difficile, tu sais, parce que tantôt, je me suis fait, j'étais au coin, puis j'étais en train de laver les produits que j'ai eu du frigidaire, et bien sûr, il y a eu des dons au frigidaire, fait que ces dons-là, bien sûr, ils ont fait en conséquence, bien sûr, que j'étais en train de les nettoyer avec du désinfectant des mains. Puis j'étais au coin, peut-être j'avais l'air un peu suspect, je ne sais pas comment j'étais, fait qu'ils sont venus, mais tu sais, puis des fois c'est important d'implémenter ce que j'appelle mes protocoles de 9-1 pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, pour la sécurité totale, défense totale, service aussi pour la SSD, les protocoles de réforme en tant que philosophe et analyste théoricien géopolitique que j'ai produit surtout durant la COVID, et ça a commencé mon travail que je fais référence en tant qu'analyste théoricien géopolitique indépendant, philosophe, ça date de 2017, quand j'ai sorti de ma dépression. Avant ça, c'était une dépression suicidaire, puis en traversant le Canada, j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, avec le Canada. Vous êtes ma famille, avec les 50 États, puis on a nous autres aussi, fait que ça dérange pas, c'est tous ceux qui viennent aussi, hein. Mais je dois faire ma part aussi, parce que si moi je fais pas ma part, mettons pour le français, d'abord je le fais pas, un effort, c'est toujours d'encourager un effort. C'est certains citoyens aussi de faire un effort, ça dans certaines choses. Et moi, mais qu'est-ce que je vis avec la neurodivergence, l'Asperger's et l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, c'est l'Asperger's. J'utilise le mot Asperger's. C'est comme nous, les Aspies, on fait partie d'une petite communauté. Il n'y a pas beaucoup d'Asperger's dans le monde, même que j'ai avisé les policiers que j'ai cette condition, parce que pour qu'ils sachent, là, c'est pas parce que c'est la drogue ou c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est juste que notre cerveau, les Asperger's, il y a des mutations. Fait qu'à cause de ces mutations, nous, on voit le monde différemment, d'une autre manière, vous comprenez? Fait que nous, c'est plus difficile de relations sociales. Des fois, on peut être direct ou on peut offenser, puis c'est juste les choses qu'on dit, des fois, ça peut paraître un peu bizarre. La manière qu'on communique, les choses non verbales, pour les Asperger, vous pouvez regarder sur Internet, c'est quoi l'Asperger, si ça vous intéresse, parce que c'est pas connu, c'est pas gros, hein, il n'y a pas bien des gens qui ont cette condition de neurodivergence, l'Asperger, c'est aussi connu comme l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, comme moi-même. Fait que je vis avec ça, mais je suis jovial, je suis de bonne humeur, je suis de bonne humeur, je suis correct, je suis de bonne humeur, je suis jovial, mais j'ai de la difficulté dans les relations sociales, puis je vis avec ça, comme je vis avec mes cicatrices, mon trauma, la perte de mémoire, puis maintenant juste un stress financier, après ça va bien, ça va bien. J'ai un stress financier, puis bien sûr, je ne l'ai pas parlé, pas ici, j'ai parlé un peu de ma réincarnation, moi je suis mystique, donc je crois à la réincarnation. J'étais né homme-femme des fois, puis je lui ai dit, mais je suis monsieur, madame, elle dit, là, je vous rappelle comment je dis, mais moi dragon, parce que je veux changer de nom, je l'ai changé officiellement, non, hein, parce que j'ai pas eu l'argent pour le changer, tu sais. J'ai pas eu l'argent pour le changer. J'ai pas eu l'argent pour le changer. J'ai pas eu de l'argent pour le changer, tu sais. J'ai pas eu de l'argent pour le changer, tu sais. J'ai pas eu de l'argent pour le changer. Fait que j'ai pas eu l'argent pour le changer, tu sais, dans ce fait de réincarnation, bien sûr, pour que ça fasse dans l'histoire de l'avoir. Et bien sûr, vous voyez une branche ici, là, ça c'est une grosse branche, là, c'est une grosse branche. Fait que c'est ça l'Asperger, on voit le monde différemment. Fait que, à cause de ces différences, à cause qu'il y a ces mutations dans le cerveau, là, c'est pas encore sûr exactement que ce qui cause. C'est des fois, ça peut être génétique, héréditaire, ou ça peut être l'environnement qui cause. Mais on a ces mutations. Fait que nous, les relations sociales sont difficiles, mais on a des forces. Parallèlement, on peut avoir de la misère, maintenir des amis, avoir des amis à long terme, avoir des amis à long terme, là. Tu sais, on peut avoir des amis à long terme, tu sais, ça peut être difficile pour nous avoir des amis à long terme, ça peut être difficile, tu sais, c'est maintenir des amis, là. Juste de maintenant, là, on est le 13, vendredi 13, là, c'est de la bonne chance pour la déesse, bénie avec des bisous, des chatouilles et des câlins, mais on a des difficultés dans la relation sociale. On est bon dans nos sujets, nos intérêts obsessifs, aussi connus comme intérêts obsessifs, mais moi je préfère utiliser des intérêts spéciaux. Parce qu'obsession, c'est plus négatif parce que vous voyez, l'Asperger's, il y en a qui pensent il y a un documentaire qui pense que c'est une mutation qui va vers une évolution. Une évolution. Il y en a qui disent que ça fait partie de notre processus humain là, d'évolution, parce qu'il n'y a pas bien des Asperger's. Même des gens que je parle, la majorité des gens, ils ne savent pas c'est quoi. Tu sais? Fait que c'est ça, l'Asperger, c'est... On a de la misère dans certaines choses. Vous voyez, tantôt, je voulais parler de la branche, et vous voyez pas que ça tombe sur eux, ça? Ouais, ça s'est tombé aujourd'hui, hein? Après que je vois, là, je suis pas un expert, là, mais c'est tombé, c'est craqué dans c'est pour ça, je leur dis toujours dans mes vidéos, je les avertis. Faites attention, imaginez, là, tu sais, ça est tombé, c'est lourd, ça. Imaginez, c'est pour ça, la prévention, c'est mieux, là. Mais pour l'Asperger, il n'y a pas de médicament. Il n'y a pas de médicament pour l'Asperger. On a ces mutations de cerveau, il faut juste que je fasse la gestion de mes caractéristiques. C'est pas des symptômes, parce que c'est pas une maladie. Vous comprenez? C'est pas une maladie, l'Asperger. Je vais vivre avec, je vis avec ça. Comme les Asperger, je vais vivre avec. Mais malheureusement, le problème majeur chez les Asperger, c'est que nous, là, le taux de chômage est très haut, très élevé. Puis on fait partie d'une petite communauté, à moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage, moins de 0,44%. 0,44%, là, pas beaucoup, là. C'est moins qu'un sur 300. Non, c'est pour ça, c'est pas connu, mais des gens qui savent pas c'est quoi. Tu sais, je leur dis c'est quoi, j'ai jamais entendu vraiment. Je sais pas c'est quoi. Fait qu'ils savent pas c'est quoi. Fait que je leur explique un peu à cause. J'ai des mutations, on a des mutations dans le cerveau et des relations sociales là, peuvent être différentes. On peut être étrange, paraître étrange, bizarre. Et des fois, on se rapproche des gens, tu sais. Tellement proche. Donc, tantôt, avec la SPVM, mon frère et soeur en uniforme, tu sais. Pas parfait, moi non plus. Hey, toi non plus, hein, t'es pas parfait. Vous non plus, vous, madame, messieurs, madame. Hey, messieurs, madame. Vous êtes quoi? Monsieur, madame, mais moi je suis androgène, pas sexuel. À cause de mes réincarnations, des fois j'étais né homme, femme, homme, prêtresse de la déesse, de l'ancienne Rome, de l'ancienne Égypte et bien dans d'autres choses. Puis bien des réincarnations jusqu'à nous rendre ici. Bien sûr, avec l'Asperger's, l'autisme non fonctionnel, tu sais, on doit faire un recensement. On doit faire un recensement. On doit faire un recensement. Puis bien sûr, je suis bon en la géopolitique. Je suis un artiste, parallèlement un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique indépendant. Et j'ai prévu la situation actuelle qui se déroule en ce moment. Je l'ai prévu en 2017. En octobre et en novembre, j'ai prévu la situation actuelle. Correction. En 2019, octobre-novembre. En 2017, j'ai traversé le Canada, puis c'est là que j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, Québécois, Québécoises, Canadiens, les États-Unis aussi. Les Nord-Américains, vous êtes ma famille, dans le royaume. Et tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre aussi, évidemment. Là. Tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre, on doit faire notre effort aussi pour le français, pour l'anglais, puis ça, j'approuve, ok, ça c'est correct. Là. Vous n'avez pas bloquer rien qui s'est écrit, là, parce que c'est important. Le travail qu'ils font, moi aussi, je fais du travail. Ben, c'est des années que je fais du travail environnemental sur la montagne. Tu sais. C'est pour ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse la création de l'armée de la déesse qui danse. Et j'adore m'entraîner. Depuis 2017, j'ai perdu entre 80 et 93 livres. C'est mon intérêt spécial, aussi connu comme intérêt obsessif, probablement en géopolitique. Fait que là, je vais dire que je vais pas tarder, je vais juste finir avec l'Asperger, je dois vivre avec, comme je vis avec mes cicatrices, la perte de mémoire, puis pas de perte de mémoire du jour au jour, mais mémoire vieille, tu sais, avant, j'ai une bonne mémoire des 7, 8, 9, 10, après ça, avant 11, ça devient embrouillé un peu, ça devient embrouillé, c'est comme peut-être la moisissure où j'habitais, ou peut-être je consomme pas de drogue présentement, je suis pas alcoolique, mais peut-être j'ai fait trop de drogue, trop d'alcool que j'ai de la misère à me souvenir, tu sais, c'est possible. J'avais la moisissure où j'ai été attaqué par surprise, j'étais tombé dans le métro de Montréal, j'ai cogné ma tête, j'avais le bras droit disloqué, puis ils m'ont recraqué le bras, puis j'étais allé tout ensanglé à l'hôpital, ils m'ont replacé, ils m'ont mis sur des médicaments, j'étais dans un coma d'une couple de jours, fait que je vais aller retrouver avant le 1er juillet, je vais aller retrouver les archives. Les archives, un beau poème ici, ça parle de la tonnerre, ça me dérange pas la tonnerre. Fait que là, je vais vous parler de la TRD. Je vais pas tarder parce qu'il faut que je parle de la TRD. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est super important que je la discute. C'est quoi la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette? C'est ma théorie pour la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est ma théorie, bien sûr, pour le Québec, le Canada, le Collectif d'Amérique du Nord, pour l'Union. Et il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de ma TRD car est dû au point qu'on est rendu à une crise financière quasiment qui s'approche, peut-être lundi, la semaine prochaine. Ça va nous frapper fort à cause des cartes de crédit et l'intérêt qu'on a payé sur la dette publique. Ça a tellement augmenté durant la COVID qu'on n'a pas le choix de faire des réformes de la finance parce que sinon, je demande à M. Carney, oncle Carney, le roi est absent. Je vous dis, Canadien, Québécois, le roi est absent. Le roi est absent. On va devoir couper dans le budget. On va devoir couper dans le budget. On va devoir couper dans le budget. On va devoir couper dans On va devoir couper dans le budget. On va devoir couper dans le budget. On va devoir couper dans le budget. Parce qu'on doit couper quelque chose. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper, M. Carney? La GRC. Le mairie royal, la police, la sanitation, les prisons, c'est sûr, parce qu'on ne peut pas soutenir le niveau, bien sûr, d'avoir cette dépense qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui, avoir cette dépense, bien sûr, et dans ce mode, bien sûr, de la complexité, d'avoir un complexe aujourd'hui au Québec, Canada, dans le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, c'est quelque chose, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse, nous aussi, bien sûr, dans ce royaume où qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui. Fait que bien sûr, pour le dire qu'il faut qu'on fasse la TRD, une autre branche ici, regardez ça. Ça, c'est dur, ça. La TRD, c'est urgent, ça presse. Puis on va faire bien du bien commun avec la TRD. On va prendre la théorie de la refusion de la dette, TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, la TRD, ça inclut en dedans d'elle la théorie d'intégration monétaire. La théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est la théorie que les Européens ont faite. Puis faites attention si vous descendez par ici parce qu'il y a un risque additionnel pour votre sécurité parce que c'est vraiment profond. Puis c'est profond, puis des fois ça mouille, il y a de la boue. Là. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, on va devoir prendre toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000. On va faire la refusion, on va convertir toute la dette publique-privée, incluant mon 10 000, dans la devise des États-Unis. On va faire ça binationale avec les États-Unis, comme l'établissement de la Ligue nationale d'accueil et d'autres organisations binationales, parce que la TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire, qui est la théorie que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation. Fait on va faire toute la conversion de toute la dette publique-privée de côte à côte. Cet argent-là, on va refuser. On va fusionner avec la dette publique-privée des États-Unis. On va créer la nouvelle banque. On va appeler une nouvelle banque, comment on l'appelle. Le nom, c'est pas si important, c'est plus le principe qu'il faut qu'on le fasse. Fait qu'on va faire la création de l'unité d'échange universelle. U.unité, A.échange, U. universel. U.unité, A.échange universel. U.unité, A.échange, U. universel. L'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle, bien sûr, il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation, mais c'est l'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle. Oui. On va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Ça peut être moins pas plus. Moins pas plus. Et bien sûr, dans ce point de convergence, fait qu'on va faire la refusion totale. On va faire la création d'une nouvelle monnaie. Comment qu'on l'appelle, ben ça ne dérange pas vraiment l'appel, comment qu'on l'appelle la monnaie, mais c'est le principe de l'unité d'échange universelle, aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Avec ça, on va bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure du Canada, du complexe nord-américain, on va se fusionner, on va faire un grand recensement avec le collectif, un grand recensement. Fait qu'on va faire un grand recensement ensemble. Ça veut dire qu'on va faire aussi la création d'un passeport commun, on va enlever la frontière, on va bien sûr rebâtir l'infrastructure, on doit bâtir 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire à travers le Québec, le Canada, les États-Unis pour pouvoir sauver des millions de vies. Ça prend un partenariat public-privé, c'est pour ça les millionnaires, milliardaires, il va falloir qu'on fasse le plus tôt possible la construction de ces 44 méga-tunnels. C'est pour ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse un compromis avec nos frères et sœurs qui ont perdu leur liberté, tu sais. Leur liberté d'avoir perdu la liberté, c'est quelque chose bien sûr que c'est difficile, puis tu sais, pour perdre la liberté, là, c'est quelque chose de nouveau, puis ça prend beaucoup de responsabilité, la liberté. Ça prend beaucoup de responsabilité, la liberté, puis tout l'individu puis le collectif, tu sais, l'individu puis le collectif, tu sais. L'individu puis le collectif, tu sais, ça prend beaucoup de travail aussi, énormément de travail, là, tu sais, c'est nouveau, puis on a nos caractéristiques communes, comme moi je suis neurodivergent, je fais partie de cette petite communauté, il y a des choses sociales que j'ai de la misère avec, il y a des caractéristiques que j'ai de la misère, mais quand ça vient à la géopolitique, c'est là que c'est mon royaume, je peux vous en parler, puis je peux vous en faire des théories, des analyses au quotidien, puis des événements, ça se passe au quotidien, mais ça reste que je suis québécois, canadien, nord-américain, fait que même si j'ai une connaissance académique, intellectuelle des conflits, puis des relations, puis de la politique externe des autres pays, puis de leur civilisation, leur complexe de civilisation, que ça soit à l'est ou à l'ouest, c'est bien sûr quelque chose que je dois le dire, mais c'est parce que nous, on a l'intérêt commun, là, puis ça ne change pas, c'est comme une constance, comme le constant, là, le symbole pi, là, en mathématiques pour la relation du circonférence et du diamètre d'un cercle, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis. Il n'y a pas de non à ça, c'est oui. Il n'y a pas de non peut-être. Nous, là, c'est notre intérêt commun. C'est pour ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, le plus tôt possible. Ça presse, c'est urgent, puis ça va prendre un gros travail, mais on commence aujourd'hui par moi, la TRD, on va bâtir ces 44 tunnels, bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec. On va bâtir de la défense mutuelle commune. Fait que c'est ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse rock'n'roll. Je vous fais appel à tous, prêter allégeance léger. Fait que je vous laisse avec ce que j'aime le plus parallèlement à l'entraînement physique que je suis en train de faire, et la géopolitique, le rock'n'roll. Je suis à la montagne, québécois puis québécoise. Dans le fer, pour le faire, il faut qu'on y aille. Ben regarde, des travails, personne n'est parfait, j'ai fait de ma rédemption criminelle. Policier, policière, que ça danse, que ça lance. Un autre, regarde, ça recule. Et en instance, ben secours, ben secours. Ben regarde, ben je danse avec une policière, un policier, policière. Ça, c'est une chanson que j'ai composée pour chanter avec Céline Dion. J'ai fait de ma rédemption criminelle. J'ai fait de ma rédemption au criminel. Maintenant, je danse avec une policière, un policier. J'ai fait de ma rédemption au criminel. Maintenant, je fais danser avec un policier, policière. Puis, that's it, c'est rock'n'roll 24/24, géopolitique. Je suis stressé financièrement, mais à part ça, ça va. Puis, faites votre rédemption au criminel, puis qu'on construit pour bâtir, qu'on se unisse, fusionne dans le royaume avec les États-Unis ensemble, puis qu'on continue avec le français avant d'avoir de côte à côte la défense.